Welcome to another episode of my Motor Town playthrough. Today we are going to do a bit of car tuning. I want to try and build another Vista rally car, but this time around we are going to start with a more lowered version of it and then see how much suspension increase is really necessary in that kind of deal, because the other one that I built is really just high and wobbly and it's a bit weird to drive. So I wanted to try it from another perspective, but I don't want to necessarily lose what I have already, so we are starting fresh. Got myself another Vista over here, as you can see, and we are going to bring it to the next garage and then maybe copying over some stuff from the other one. Maybe I also just want to drive it to a whole different location from here. You know what, let's do that. There's usually something going on at the garage right here, and I would rather have a bit of space and not going to bother with anybody else wanting to use the same garage. By the way, as per usual, right now back on the Hokyoshi server, just so you know. And yeah, since this is going to be an off-road specific vehicle, I'll be teleporting over to a dirt road and testing out a bit there, then coming back here and that kind of deal. So should be worthwhile setting up a campy for this whole thing. Just to be a bit smart about the whole ordeal right here. So let's first up get a campy. Do I have it? Oh no, this is the small vehicle list. I got a lot of this stuff by now on this character, not gonna lie. Feels like yesterday when I started the whole thing, but nope, we are actually doing pretty well by now. You know what, let's just park it in the back here. Quick and easy access to the garage when I need it. Okay, honestly, this thing is also pretty soft on the suspension. Let's just get the other one spawned in real quick. Vista RX, there it is. And yeah, the problem with this one is, I mean, you can already see it, it leans a lot. It bumps back and front, and while it is pretty stable, it's not really the most amazing to drive, especially on mixed surface. So for on the road, maybe it could be a bit better without sacrificing too much on the or in the off-road department. So let's just upload the tune. Just like that, including everything else here. Then despawn it. And get it copied onto this one. I mean, not completely. I want only a few parts, but I want the paint, I want the decals. Engine, transmission, final drive ratio is a good one to start with. Wheels, wheel spacer, brake pad, suspension, spring, damper, ride height, anti-roll bar. Yeah, those are the things that I want to figure out again from scratch. I mean, it's always gonna be a wide body build, so yeah, the spaces can stay. And like that, I got it copied over, which is nice. So let's see what we have here. Let's just go with default suspension for starters. Yeah, that also feels pretty soft. So if I did this correctly, I should also have the off-road tires. So let's double check and then go to the dirt road. Yep, definitely off-road tires on this one. But let's make sure they are on all wheels. Yep. Okay, and from here we just want to go down south, and this should be a pretty good testing ground. Not the harshest, that would be Gappa most likely, but to get started we can try it here. Also, I redid my video settings, so if anything looks weird, please let me know. I don't know, it feels like some of it must have reset a while ago, and I feel like this should be better now. I tried stuff for the last videos, but yeah, the two ones that I did driving the Lobo, stuff felt a bit weird in the end. Like, the file size was way too small to be any good, but yeah, I don't know. I tried out a few things, tried upping the bitrate, tried a few different decoders and bitrate settings for like variable bitrate, that kind of deal. Some of it was incredibly laggy, but this one is good, and it allows me to go far beyond what I had before. I should have noticed a while ago that the videos were just way too quick to upload to be correct. But hey, not like anybody ever complained, but I would like to make videos that look a bit better if I can. Okay, honestly, this isn't even too bad. I don't like how much the tires are clipping through the bodywork there. But yeah, this thing right now is pretty neat. Oops, overdid it. I mean, listen. Power-wise, this thing is on the same level as a chess car. And chess cars are notoriously hard to handle. Yeah, this is doing pretty well. So the question is, should I ruin this in order to potentially figure out something to make the tires not go through the bodywork that much anymore? I mean, I am going to do it because I cannot stand the look of it, but really I could almost just leave it like this. Honestly, it's kind of embarrassing. All the work that I put into this and the default suspension was better. To be clear, at some point that was not the case, but times change. But yeah, this feels a lot more direct. So in the end, the suspension is a bit harder. It's, yeah, 10 centimeters lower again, because beforehand it was maximum height and all of that, but yeah, it does pretty well. I'm going to drive over into Gappa and then we'll see if I have to retract that statement. Kinda nice that they are so close together. Gives me a bit of space on the more beginner-friendly part of the off-road stuff, then a bit of on-road for, yeah, just tarmac handling. And now we can dip into the deep end. Okay, I guess I'm sold on this. This is pretty good. But yeah, I gotta keep in mind that the initial version of my other handling setup was made back before we had a lot of handling updates. Okay, it gets a bit squirmy over here. Oh god. But yeah, overall, nothing too bad. Again, there's cars in this particular subsection that will just kill you. And there's no real way around it, I don't think. So this thing, overall, doing pretty well. I wish I had done this before the rally event. But yeah, what can I say? I was still under the impression that my whole handling setup was still pretty good and I only needed to do a bit of tweaking instead of like a full overhaul that we have here right now. Okay, let's see. Let's bring it back into the garage. Just right here. Of course, get out of the vehicle first. Almost like I started playing yesterday. Okay, let's see. I know this is more for optics and therefore it's not a good idea, but I would like this to run a bit higher. 3 centimeters doesn't sound too bad, so let's go with that. Anti-roll bars. You know what, let's go with 150 for the front. And let's stay with stock for the rear. But I would also like the front to be a bit stiffer because that's usually making a bit more responsive and everything. Also, dampers are usually a good idea to go pretty stiff with, so let's just buy a few more just in case, also for later. And go with this. Let's see if it's better or worse. In the end, I know the setup beforehand was just stock, so it should be alright. Okay, next up. Yeah, this is standing a bit more proud now. Oh, I like this one. I shouldn't have stopped steering in. Also, it's raining, which doesn't really help evaluating. Let's just go on the road instead. Also, I'm still above 1 million, which is nice. While I really want a better version of this car, I don't want to spend too much of my money on it. There's other things to be buying and tuning. Okay, I have no idea what's going on here, but it looks a bit weird. Somebody's running some coils over here. I've kind of stopped caring about coils on the server. I don't feel like I'll ever be getting any one of those loaded and delivered. I don't mind doing some work for other people, but at that point, I don't know. And also, once again, I have a ton of coils on my main character, so if I want to do something with them, I got myself covered and that's okay. I mean, if I need another Formula SCM, I would definitely go for getting a coil delivered there. I've definitely done more than enough to produce one or two. But yeah, it feels a bit weird doing these deliveries just for fun. Because at the end of the day, there's always gonna be a lot of work from other people involved, and just doing that for your personal gain, I don't know. Not that I need it. Okay, honestly, I might just leave it like this. Because this thing is good. Even save that one. Yeah, this is definitely a lot better than before. Oops. I want to turn around anyways. I'm not just saying that I need to get to another parking lot in order to get the other one out. Direct comparison. Low fuel warning. I almost got through the entire thing already. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's definitely noticeable that it's far less wobbly. Also sits a bit lower. Although honestly, for the other one being 10 centimeters raised, thanks to the body kit that extends down low again, it doesn't really look like that much anyways. Yeah, the straight in here is always gonna be a bit dodgy. Especially on the way down because they're gonna be a bit faster. Okay, let's get the Vista RX, and I mean you can see it's higher, you can see how much lower it gets on acceleration. Let's see how it handles this entire part. Feels a tiny bit less stable. And yeah, definitely far less direct on corners and all of that. Yeah, I feel like with the other car I would have gotten this drift. But it wouldn't have gotten away from me like that. So I think it's time to retire the tune and just override it with the other one. Because one of these is a fully functional rally vehicle, the other one is just a wobbly little bitch. Yeah, I prefer the other one, and therefore it is decided. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to come back to this at some point, but I think this was a really fruitful use of my time here. So let's just upload this one without the paint and the decals, just the parts, because this one can actually stay up. Okay, I think this is actually the old one, so that can get deleted. Now we switch over to the Vista RX. No, not upload, we are going to download the other one. Configure, suspension right height, anti-roll bar. Yeah, I don't need the attachments anymore because they are identical anyways. And now we have a better Vista RX. Nice. Now back to the other one. Okay, 2 ways this thing can go to become its own thing. Either full-on race car, so get rid of the rally lights, maybe a weaker engine, because the 320 horsepower thing, that's a lot. Also, I think there's a gas station nearby and I should maybe visit it. But yeah, I don't need 2 identical cars here, so this might become more of a racer. The other option would be to detune it to get back the black one that I have on my main one. The one that reminds me of my dad's old car. Honestly, for that I would like to get that exact tune. I might have to upload that at some point on the other character. I don't really want to go into that right now though, because yeah, that's just gonna take a while. Also, once again, I don't want to open that character on this version, so might have to wait until I'm back on the testing. But yeah, I wouldn't be against buying a third Vista for that whole thing. Or maybe I'll just... I don't know. Do I want to drive around in something that reminds me of my dad forever? Especially if I tune it to be very slow. I don't know. I'll think about that one. But yeah, for now, since it has the livery already, let's just turn it into a race car. So... Oh yeah, I forgot. Do you want to know a fun little trick about light attachments if you don't need them anymore? There are a few cars in this game, or more like trucks, that actually have some storage, and you can just put stuff in there. And if somebody uses it, I mean, they get a few free lamps in this case, or you could just go and despawn them, which I might do at some point. So uninstall. Uninstall. So the easiest ones for these are some of the wreckers that can hold items. Like obviously the Golema rotator, but also you could do the same thing with the Pulio or the Brutus. And if you spawn it in at one of the dedicated spawn points, like at the harbor, it will just despawn on its own, I think, at some point if you just leave it. So nothing too bad about it, nothing too difficult to remove it again. So that's easy to handle. And yeah, I might just keep the lights on the back, I don't know. Depends if I keep the spoiler. But let's see about it. But yeah, since the Gulima was already there, I just put it in there. I don't know if that won't despawn at some point and be replaced. I wouldn't mind it. Otherwise, somebody is going to find a little surprise there. Passing on my trash. Okay. You know what? First up, aerodynamics. I want to see another body kit. I could go with this one. I don't know about it. So this one has air drag coefficient plus 6%, 18 kilograms of downforce, front downforce 3.7, 26, 6.7. So this is more. Also, somebody's bringing in some stuff. I don't have anything standing around there, so we should be all good. So this is a tiny bit more. I should really be using this one then. I don't know if I like the look of those lights though. Let's check the fender, because the fenders are also kind of intertwining with everything else here. I've actually not been using the appropriate fender for the front bumper and all of that. I think that would be this one. They don't seem too different from each other. Okay, but this has the least amount of air drag and the other ones are also much heavier, so for performance reasons I should be keeping this one. Everything else we'll have to see about. Side skirts. Not gonna go with anything off-road here. Yeah, I think these ones are still fitting the best. Rear bumper. I mean, honestly, this looks like one of those weird cheap ass designer glasses thing. Yeah, I think I like the one that I have already, so we might be sticking to the body kit. I don't mind it. It looks more like a racing body kit anyways than anything else. What do we have for spoiler options? A more tame one than this one here. I had this one on the first version before we got any drag or downforce to begin with. So yeah, I guess we are going to keep this one here. So that was pretty easy. Also means there won't be any problems with readjusting the livery to anything, because there's nothing to readjust to. We are keeping exactly what we had before. And yeah. Anything in here? I can turn this into a taxi. Not gonna do that. But okay, that means that maybe we should be going further down here. So ride height might be best left at 0. Or maybe only slightly raised. I mean, this doesn't look too bad. In the end, I'm just going to keep the exact same car. Do nothing about it. I mean, wheel spacers are definitely going to stay. I don't have any angle kit to begin with. But let's check it out again at default ride height. Yeah, that's going to clip if I compress the suspension. So maybe let's check out something a bit harder. That seems appropriate. I wanted to try this anyways because I've seen a recent event by TWL against the Sync, where they also allowed Vista, but I didn't have it prepared, so I didn't join. So, yeah, let's try it here. Also, I still have to change the tires. We are not going to stay on off-road tires for this one. This is likely going to be the biggest change here, going to performance tires. I mean, it still feels a bit soft. I mean, not too soft, but yeah, there's still a decent amount of movement in here. I could go for harder RRBs, so the anti-roll bar or sway bar, whatever. I might also have to give it a bit more top speed. I know that the Rallycar was kind of suffering from that. Also, what are the brakes on this? I'm not even going to do a full lap here. This is just to get a bit of a feeling. Let's check the brakes again. I mean, it's not too bad. 100% body damage, let's get rid of that. Brake power is stock. I think I might just wanna keep it like that. Otherwise they just end up locking up too early. So yeah, I'm just going to take it onto the highway and check the top speed. From that, once I have the final drive ratio figured out, that's going to also affect how the car handles in general, how aggressive it accelerates. So if I can rein that in a little bit, then everything else should be easier to tell. And yeah, thanks to it being a rally car, the top speed is genuinely abysmal at 200. Again, for the rally car itself, it's appropriate. Doesn't need to be higher. I don't really go across these bridges with any rally track that I have, and if I do, I might have to adjust it, but for the most part, on that it should be fine. This, however, is a different story. But I'm liking the way it drives. But yeah, in the end, that one event that I missed was basically the NASCAR muscle cars plus this one with the same tune that I have right now, or a similar one. So I could have participated in this thing if I was fast enough to begin with, that is. Because it was basically a community versus community event, and they had to get the fastest drivers first, and once they had them, yeah, they just went with it. So we need longer final drive. And I reckon I can skip a few because it doesn't feel like it's anywhere where it needs to be. Yeah, that's going to make it much tamer. But yeah, when it comes to this kind of stuff, my fault is that I don't spend enough time tuning the vehicles. Basically, you saw what I just did to the other version of this car, the off-road one. I bought a completely new one, tested its stock suspension, gave it a bit of a quick tune, tried out the old one and as a bit of a comparison, and then just called it a day. If I was to properly tune it, I wouldn't even be done with it by now. I would still likely spend another half an hour at least. I mean, we are still going into the red right now, so I could still make it longer. But I feel like this isn't too far off. Maybe I go one step higher. But yeah, in an actual race, I would be expecting that I had body damage at this point, so I wouldn't even get to the top speed anymore. So really getting to the top speed is a rarity in this game, with how the races turn out. But then again, hey, next update, traffic density options, things might be different with that. I still love the livery on this thing, it's wild. Not entirely sure if I'm in love with the brake lights on the spoiler. It feels a bit too wild for a race car like this, but I mean, I don't know. I'll keep it for now. Honestly, this thing handles so much better than the chess cars. Feels almost unfair. I'm pretty sure it also has a lot more drag, so the chess cars are going to smoke it on straight line speed and that kind of thing. But yeah, this is nice. By the way, I remember that the last episode I talked about the spec cars that we are preparing for Hoki server, and I don't know if I brought that one train of thought to an end. I don't know if I got a real conclusion on the whole thing about slower cars making for better races. I mean, I think I partially did. But yeah, for me in this game, it kinda also depends. Generally speaking, if you have a right track, if you have a decently interesting setup for the cars so that they are not just boring as hell, yeah, slow cars are really good and I love them. But I think if you have a pretty good setup for a fast car and the appropriate type of race, so you wouldn't be going into Jeju City with like 25 corners around the bend with anything like this thing. But maybe if you have something more high-speed focused, that can also be really interesting. But yeah, I think overall, I would maybe go with slower cars for most of the time. But sometimes, like for example, the Hoshi Holaev event, yeah, you want a bit of power for that. So yeah, to get back to that thing, also I completely forgot what I want to do here. You know what, let's just take this thing. Anything else I need? Oh yeah, anti-roll bars, that was something. And as per usual, we are going a bit softer on the rear. so that it doesn't get too oversteery. Also, I want to check out what setting I have for my intake. I usually go with, I think, the short one, the one that gives higher revs. So powertrain, intake, yeah. So that gives me a max power of 595.9. The other one would be 582. That's a difference. But yeah, max torque means more force on the wheels, meaning better acceleration, while this one just revs a bit higher. I kind of like it where it is right now. I don't like where it started raining, because this would be really nice to test out. Also, I'm not against the idea of maybe equipping a slower engine, but then again, this is a big, heavy vehicle. So while it might be slightly hurting on the fuel side of things, I don't think it's out of control. I would be more afraid if I put this engine into the Miata, but then again, depending on what I want to do with it, it's also pretty okay. I remember back in the day with the original handling, or I mean, I don't know what's even original in this game, depending on which time frame you look at. Definitely not the first update handling, whatever. But yeah, a year ago or two, the Miata was completely unmanageable with any V8. Even inline 4 would sometimes catch me off guard. But then again, I was also a lot worse at making setups for cars here. So experience has definitely taught me a few things here. Okay, maybe I'm going a bit too understeery. This feels somewhat neutral, which is interesting. Yeah, it gives me a bit of drift if I go onto the gas, but it doesn't step out or anything. So this is absolutely stable. Feels like I'm maybe having to carry it a bit around the corners. And I might want it to be a bit more loose. I could of course go and rework the entire suspension setup. I mean not the suspension, the aero setup. But I think since that will also change the look, I would rather go with suspension here. So let's see. Maybe back to 150% on the fronts. Don't really feel like I need to do anything about the dampeners. Let's try a lap in this one and then we might call it a day. I think this should be pretty good now. I should maybe also do a lap around this with my Rallycross version, since after all it's for Rallycross, so mixed surface. Okay, I was reading chat and got a bit distracted. Let's see. I mean, I can handle that after the lap here. Since I'm admin, it's not really a big deal despawning the whole thing. Although that depends, the admin menu for some reason doesn't always give you all the things that are abandoned around the map. Might be depending on what's actively being loaded in right now, but it's really hit or miss if it gives you something specific. I know that if I go to the place and have the trailer inside, then I'll most definitely get it. But otherwise it doesn't really seem to give me that on a reliable basis. Okay, yeah, this is definitely helping a bit, although you saw that it also makes the whole thing a bit more spicy, so I don't know. But yeah, it's okay. It's definitely okay. God, when the brakes start smoking, you definitely have to fully let go of them. They just don't... They don't seem to regain... Or the wheels don't seem to regain traction that easily after they initially start blocking. Feels a bit weird. Let's see. Yeah, a bit more spicy on the XL. But I might need that in order to go around the bend a bit better. Yeah, it definitely feels better around the tight corners. And it's not like I cannot catch it again. Maybe I should make the rear a bit softer. Let's quickly try that before we end the video. I know it's a long one, but I mean, there's a bit of tuning involved here, so there's always gonna be trial and error. And that just takes some time. Always gotta keep in mind that the people who don't care about this stuff will have likely left already a while ago. You know what? I'm way too used to the breaking point in the Formula SCM. Since I did all those laps around the track recently with that thing. And that one is definitely a bit easier to stop. I don't know if it even gets that fast. Does around 160 before it maxes out. Yeah, I might need to put the stiffer suspension back in. Yeah, it felt a bit better with the other one. So let's put that back in and call it a day again. Alright, here we go. Last pit stop. Suspension, spring, and 120. Interesting how close together they are, but I mean, then again, that's kind of a balancing that I'm looking for here. I just remember that with most of my setups, they are usually a bit further apart, but for this one, it works. And hey, I love that I could just keep the looks of it and didn't have to redo the entire livery or anything like that. That would have likely not happened in the video anyways. But yeah, this thing, pretty good now. And with that, that's the end of the video. So thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about the whole video side of things, if it ran smoothly, if there's like any blurry stuff happening. I mean, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to look through it a bit here and there, but I cannot catch everything. And the last few videos that I uploaded were just worryingly small in file size that cannot have looked too nicely. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, have a good one and bye bye.